So at this time, I would like to go over some of the information that we talked about today. Just a quick test review, okay? I'm gonna ask a question, give you some choices, and you put the choice in the chat box below. And we'll see how well you do. So question number 1. Can restraint be used with students in most situations, especially to protect school property? True or false? I'll give you a few minutes to put the answer you think is appropriate down in the chat box. If you put B, false, you will be correct. You do not use restraint to protect school property, and restraints, physical restraints, cannot be used in most situations. It is an option of last resort. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. Is it permissible for staff or teachers to use restraint to protect themselves or others until a mindset certified staff or teacher relieves them? A, true, or B, false? Go ahead and put your answer down in the chat box. The answer to this question is A. Kind of a trick question, so I might have got a lot of you on that one. 1, you never use restraint unless your mindset is certified. This is true. You're not supposed to use restraint, and you wouldn't even use the word. If you're not mindset certified, you wouldn't even use the word restraint. And again, these questions, we didn't go into a whole lot of detail in the video earlier on, but these are things that you are expected to know. Yes, you are not allowed to use restraint unless you're mindset certified. But again, if a child is endangering themselves or endangering others, you can use a form of restraint, a limited time form of restraint, to make sure to ensure the safety of that child and others. So that answer to that question would be true. Question number 3. Is punishment or punitive measures appropriate when dealing with aggressive behavior during the crisis at hand? A, true, or B, false? Put your answer down in the chat box. If you put B, false, you will be correct. We spoke earlier, punitive measures are not appropriate when dealing with aggressive behavior in the moment. It's just going to make that student more aggressive. Remember the example. Hey, stop talking and acting up in my classroom, or I'm gonna call your mama. Call it in. If the student is already aggressive, you sending out a punitive measure is not going to stop the aggressive behavior. According to the acronym of P.A.S.S, the P.A.S.S principle, what does the A represent with working with students? Mean, adjust your attitude. 2, avoid power struggles. 3, admit your faults. Or 4, adhere to all policy procedures. If you said that the A in P.A.S.S stands for avoiding the power struggle, you would be correct. We want to make sure we avoid power struggles as much as possible. I said earlier, avoid them like the plague. You do not win power struggles, especially in virtual environments. Okay, here's our next test review question. Identify the 3 barriers to prevention. Now, we talked about barriers to prevention and the responses to those barriers. Can you identify the 3 barriers we talked about? I'm not going to give any multiple choice here, but if you know the 3 barriers, go ahead and put them down in the chat box. There were 3, okay? Identify the 3 barriers to prevention. We had 3 of them. We came up with several responses to them. If you put the 3 barriers to prevention were student, teacher, and environment, you're absolutely correct. Good job. Those are 3 barriers that come to play when it comes to preventing these techniques from working. The environment that the student is, the barriers the student brings to the table, and the barriers you may bring as a teacher or staff. Next review question. Which of the following actions is not a step of defeating biases and overcoming resistance when it comes to students with oppositional defiance? We talk about another barrier, another response to specific barriers when it comes to learning disabilities or learning differences of students. Which action is not a step? Okay, I'll give you 2 options here. Was it A, giving the student time to comply, or B, avoiding the student? Go ahead and put your answer down in the chat box. If you put B, avoiding the student, you're absolutely correct. One of the tips that I gave you earlier was giving a student the time to comply with what your directive was. Okay, we have a few more test review questions. You guys are doing great. So here goes your next test review question. According to our 4-step counseling model, is it okay to ask the student why? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat box below. It is never okay, or we want to avoid asking our students why. I gave you 2 reasons. 1, students don't always know why they feel the way they feel, so you're not going to get a very intelligent or productive answer. And secondly, asking a student why they feel the way they feel can come off very, very judgmental. So we avoid why as much as we can. Hard habit to break, but with practice and time, you will get the hang of it. Next test review question. You're doing great. Here we go. What is the first step in the 4-step counseling model? What was the first step? Step number 1 was what? Here's your option. A, establish the feeling. B, come up with an action plan. C, avoid the power struggle. Or D, say what you see. If you said, say what you see, option D, you would be correct. The first step in the counseling model is say what you see. I see you put your head down. I see you got your hood on. I see that you are crying. You're just stating what you see. Next test review question. Is it an effective crisis communication to address every situation immediately, regardless of the location and the audience? Type your answer down in the chat box. A, true. B, false. If your answer is B, false, you would be correct. It is not effective crisis communication to address a situation immediately, regardless of the location. In the audience, you definitely want to consider the location and the audience, especially if you're conducting these things virtually online. You want to eliminate your audience. You want to make sure that you're able to address this situation at this time with this audience, or can you create a one-on-one? We have one more question and we're almost there. Here we go. Last test review question. What does the acronym C.A.R stand for? Again, what does the acronym C.A.R stand for? Does it stand for staying calm, avoid the power struggle, and remain in your right mind? B, stay calm, aware, and respectful. If you chose the second option, B, calm, aware, and respectful, then you are on your way to being a de-escalation expert. So good luck, good job, and congratulations on doing a fantastic job on our test review questions for today.